I've only known Rosey for the last few months, and we've gotten really close because I lost my son to cancer 12 years ago when he was 22. And so I've been acquainted with grief, as they say. And when I was going through that process, I did some counseling with a guy who was a really good counselor. And he'd been to seminary, and the favorite course at the seminary was the pastoral counseling class because the guy was really good. And he started this class the same way every time. He got up in front of everybody and said, the death rate remains the same. There is no if. There's only when, which doesn't matter a lot, but mostly how. So we're here because the death rate remains the same, and here's how.
Are you suggesting I'm dying on stage? Or
Not on stage, no, please, no.
So why am I here? It's a good question because it's still clarifying for me why I'm actually here doing this conversation, having this evening, an inspirational evening of black comedy and music, whatever the hell that means. I know it means to me that last year when I was diagnosed in May, the weird part is nothing much changed. I was in pretty deep joy of life when I was diagnosed. I was 15 days into my annual juice fast. I was getting lean and mean and feeling good and strong. I had problems swallowing, little hint. But other than that, life was good. Life is good. So there's no transition, but as soon as I got that diagnosis and came out of shock, okay, I was in shock for a few minutes. She said, what? When? 3 months? No, I didn't hear 3 months. I heard 6 months. Okay, yeah. 3 months to 6 months without treatment. If I got treatment, a year, 2 years, whatever. It was irrelevant because I went home and the first thing I did is I cracked open my iPhone and I started taking notes for Rosey's last stand-up. I mean, would any self-respecting writer, reporter, raconteur, wish to be, wanna be, stand-up comic, would now have as better material as he could ever have in his whole life? Nor would I ever have again. Again. It's another word to keep out of my book. Of course, that word out of my dictionary again. Just and again, things like that. No, what I realized is that I never have an audience better than this. I mean, really, what are the odds you'd walk out on me now? Right? I'm probably the safest place for a stand-up comic or whatever the heck I am tonight, you know? But why was it easy? Why was it seamless? Because that gets back to why I'm actually here and why I think there's actually something maybe for me to offer and share. For 7 years before that diagnosis, I'd been working really hard with Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, with going to my therapist and doing the same thing, just trying to be present, trying to be free of the definitions of the pain of the past that we use to say who we are, free of the fears, you know, for the future, which was all fantasy because it never happened yet, as with my death. Nothing's happened. I've never died, folks. Don't know a thing about that. But seamlessly, to go into this with no anxiety, how did I get it? Because I worked on it, because I got a sense of being really here. And yes, when I die, I'll die, and let's take that when it comes. Right now, I've got a lot of living. And not any more living than I had the day before prognosis. Not anymore, just life. So, but that still doesn't tell you why I spent 7 years working my tail off to try to be wow in the now, to try to be feeling my body, to try to be breathing into each moment, trying to be present for friends and people, trying to listen compassionately and learn how to do that at higher levels every time. But why did I do that? And this is the answer that came to me, and it didn't come when I started this show or jotting down funny things to say. And it didn't come when I decided even to do this show. Like, formally, finally get it done, when I knew my deadline was soon arising. And the damn part, as a reporter, deadlines are horrible. You take aspirin for them. This kind of deadline, I don't know when. So it's, hello, give me a deadline. I gave you a deadline. No, you didn't give me a deadline. Okay, you gave me, but I don't know what the hell it is. 7 years ago was when I was separating and divorcing from my son's mom. They were 12 and 14. Noah and David. Loves of my life, dedication of my life. But I had, in the 20 years of marriage, I'd been emotionally and mentally abusive of my wife. I've been sweet to my kids, kind, loving, a good dad in many ways, but you can't be rude, disrespectful, abusive to a kid's mom without abusing the kids. I'd done, in Jewish they call it teshuvah, the work to do to try to remake, to make up, aside from the apologies, because I owed them something. But they were estranged, they were through with me. They were done 7 years ago. And they've kept, I put them in an odd position. I put them in a position of having to defend me between mom and dad, having to be defending their mom, even now perhaps, when they're 19 and 21. 7 years ago then, I made up my mind that I was going to let them know, let them see that people can change, that I could change. And more than that, I wanted to dedicate myself to being the kind of man that they would have and would be proud of having as a dad. It seems so obvious when I bring that up to you, but it wasn't even part of my understanding of what was going to happen tonight. I didn't know that. So I'm dedicating. I want to let you know, you might have heard a boy playing piano outside. He was 11 years old, and that was David on the iPad. He is a magnificent young man, even though I don't know him then. When you hear him there, you know he's in touch with something very, very, very deep. Improvising for 2.5 hours at age 11 at a gallery opening on his piano. So, to David and Noah, someday, God willing, you'll see this. And you know that your dad has changed, can change, will be changing till his last breath, and will try to make himself into a guy that you've been proud of calling dad.